All right, Internet, what is up? We are live. I'm sorry for the bad webcam. I'll get this fixed in the future, but hey, it's a test week anyways, right? I'm Chuck, the Liberty Geek. I'm your host. Yes, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition is still going to suck. Let's talk some anarchy. So, I figure let's start an episode about me, right? You guys want to know about me? Hopefully. I mean, I wouldn't want to listen to some message from some schmo. So, who am I? I figure let's do a vanity episode and answer that question. Hopefully, I will also get on someone whose show will be coming after my show tonight. Don't want to surprise anyone. Um, so yeah, this is Voluntary Virtues Network presents Chuck, Liberty Geek. Let's get started. So, who am I? My name's Chuck. I live in the Metro Detroit area of Michigan. Sucks, but what are you gonna do about it? I'm 23. I'm currently in college. I'm about to change majors to communications with a marketing minor. I had to think about that. I originally went in for psychology, but let's face it, it's not great. So, um, but what are you gonna do about it, right? Um, it's been a wild ride though. If you guys were watching Randall's show, I'll go over what I went over with him again in case you're new. But first of all, Randall did a great job, did he not? Excellent job. Good job, Randall. Um, totally would love to watch his show again. Can't wait till next week. Um, I'm like I said, I started off in the Republican side of things, the conservative side of things. I had a conservative leading house. Um, my grandfather was the type to watch TV and say, "Look at the liberal media. Look at them. Look at them. Look at them. Look at them." You know. Sure, everyone has their biases. And I, being young and impressionable at the time, went with it. You know, hey, my grandpa believed in that. My mom believed in that. I mean, why shouldn't I, right? Never question your mom. She's always right, right? Oh, let me introduce another guest. Wow, he really blends in. This is one of my dogs. You'll probably frequently see them on the show because animals are amazing. But anyways, so I pretty much went through all that through pretty much school. Growing up. I was for the war when it happened. I was for Bush. I mean, we all make our mistakes, right? And then I heard about Ron Paul in high school, about sophomore year, I think. It was we all knew it was going to be McCain, but this Ron Paul guy, you know, he had these messages, and it was just like, wow, it was great. And, sorry. Casey, shh, shush. Um, sorry, another dog. Animal House here. But he was great. Look, the man could talk, and not only could the man talk, he had these virtues, which I was like, well, shit, why doesn't the Republican Party go for these virtues? I mean, like, why should the government be involved with marriage, Why should we be in these wars in the first place, now that I was old enough to actually think about it and realize that these wars were statist concoctions and, nobody's perfect, right? Feel free. We have a chat box. Feel free to use it at any time. Ask me any questions. I also want to have a guest call at some point if anybody wants to do that and say, hey, I'll argue with you about anything, but let's continue. I just wanted to point that out. So, sorry, I got an itch. So then, Ron Paul, even though he was Republican, he drew me to the libertarian side of things, right? And everything was going great. I was like, well, the state shouldn't be trampling on these rights. these rights should be for everyone, and the state should be enforcing these, And then I started looking into Gary Johnson because, he was a libertarian candidate. And I'm like, oh, guys, if we get enough vote for Gary Johnson, you got to be on TV, right? You got to be covering libertarians. Well, right. So, and then I was like, well, wait a minute, Gary Johnson's for Israel. And I'm like, great, Israel can do it at once, but we shouldn't be sending it money. Granted, this was really weird for a lot of people because I come from a Jewish background. So a lot of people just assumed that I was pro-Israel and pro-Israeli wars and give my money to Israel, but I'm not, okay? I'm sorry. But that's kind of how that happened. And then when I saw that Gary Johnson was even pro-Israeli, I realized that, there's no such thing really as a government that can't be bought, no matter how tempting and great it sounds, like the libertarian movement, or even what the founding fathers had with the Constitution. It doesn't last forever, period. End of sentence. It never will, no matter how great it starts, no matter how unrestrictive the government is. At some point, somebody's going to take advantage of it. Someone's going to use it for their own ends. I mean, look what happened today in America, in the American situation. I mean, so then I realized that where do I go from here? I don't know. I mean, I was still like, there's no such thing as life without the state, right? And then I heard about anarchy. Like, well, I heard about anarchy before. But I'm like, isn't that just people just tearing up businesses and shit like that? Isn't that kind of dumb? And then I looked into anarcho-capitalism when I first heard about it. I'm like, oh my god, this is what I was looking for. This is exactly what I was looking for. So that's how I became involved with that roughly around my sophomore year, or junior year, sorry. And I mean, it was hard to, try to spread the message. I mean, I'm just a nobody. I was, especially when you're in high school, you're just a high school kid. Oh, you're just paranoid because you read all this stuff on the internet. And it's just like, no. Listen to me. And of course, nobody listens. So at that point, I was just kind of resigned to learning about it, researching it, just trying to find like-minded individuals, especially on the internet. You can find everyone on the internet. The internet's awesome. Most of my life is on the internet. I'm okay with that. But, I mean, yeah. So, I think that segues into my personal history, but who am I? Like I said, I'm Chuck. I live in the Metro Detroit area in Michigan. Our anarchy, especially anarcho-capitalism, is one of my passions. My other passion tends to be gaming, and I'm talking about gaming of all kinds. I'm a video gamer. I've played card games like Magic the Gathering and stuff like that. I'm a huge pen and paper role-playing guy. I love, Dungeons and Dragons, Dungeon World, Fantasy Craft. I mean, 13th Age. I mean, I love it all, But but I'm just this nerd, right? What perspective could I have on it? And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Not only am I a gamer, I'm also a pretty big tech enthusiast, and I like to stay in the know when it comes to tech and stuff like that. NSA, I have a field day with them, right? Who doesn't? I mean, ugh, they do something every week, and it's just, it's hard not to have a field day when they come up in conversation, So, I mean, but that's that. So I like to think I bring a fairly young. Don't take anyone. No one take any offense to that. When I say young, I mean, I guess a different, more nerdy, unconventional viewpoint to anarcho-capitalism. I mean, to me, it makes sense. And I think, especially as a nerd, who especially wants the freedom to be themselves without being persecuted, without being regulated, without being looked at and going, you're weird? Nerds! I mean, yeah. So, let's go to my next topic. What does anarchy mean specifically to me? I'm curious if anybody's listening still. I have 4 viewers for you. All right? There's a chat box right here. I'll even type in it. Watch this. Go ahead. All right? Send me some messages. But this is what anarchy means to me. Anarchy does not necessarily mean having no rules. Anarchy to me means having no rulers. In anarchy, you can still have a personal moral code. In anarcho-capitalism, you can still follow the rules of a neighborhood that you consent to following. That's what's important. You consent to it. When you look into a neighborhood to move into, you can look at their rules in a contract. You can go over the contract. You can say, you know what? These are perfectly valid rules to me. I'm okay with these rules. And then you follow them, you know? It's as simple as that. So, with a state, on the other hand, you're born in it. You can't consent to that. You just came out of your mom. Or test tube, or whatever. I mean, the point is that how can you consent to that? And at that point, you're stuck. You're stuck from the moment you're born. So anarchy means to me is not necessarily life with no rules. Life with no rulers. You know? It's that simple. So, in that case, what does the non-aggression policy mean to me? Well, to me, the non-aggression policy means, in layman's terms, don't start anything, there won't be anything. But if someone else starts anything, it's okay to defend yourself. Okay? That's what it means to me. Me, personally. And that's why I guess I am drawn to it so much. I don't go around breaking my neighbor's windows. That doesn't make me an isolationist. But if someone's going to start something with me, according to the principle, screw you, alright? So, to me, that's how that goes. Don't start anything, there won't be anything. But don't be afraid to fight back if someone else fights you first. So, I mean, at that point, what does it come down to? What does it all mean? It means that, in the end of the day, you follow the rules that you set for yourself. You don't go with no moral code. I mean, you're allowed to. You're absolutely allowed to. But you don't have to. You're free to be a Christian. You're free to be a Muslim. You're free to be Jewish. You're free to be a Satanist. You're free to be a nerd, to be, to be a programmer, to, be a gun owner, to be a non-gun owner, to be straight, to be gay, to be bisexual. I mean, you're free to do all of these things. And that's why, to me, that's why anarchy is so great, especially anarcho-capitalism. I can vote about things I like with my money. State doesn't let me vote with my money. Well, they let the corporations vote with their money, but I'm not a corporation. So, other things on the menu today. I'm going to get a guest on fairly soon, and I think he's going to be a great guest. His name is Robert, and he's on the show after me. It's at 10. He's not normally going to be after me in a few weeks. There's going to be someone in the 9:30 to 10 slot, but he hasn't started yet. When he's about to start, I will have him on as a guest too, so he can explain his show. But I want to give him a chance to explain his show, and maybe I'll pick his brain out. You know? So let me get him on, and we'll get started. Robert, I hope you're ready. Let me find you here. Hopefully I know how to do this. Hopefully he'll be on soon. In the meantime, the topic I'm going to ask him is a topic I asked Randall. I'm a big tech guy, so I want to think about freedom and anarcho-capitalism and technology, or just how does technology affect our freedom? And before he comes on, there's one thing I'd like to say that most tech people do not agree with me on. Corporations spying on me, I like my privacy as much as anyone else, but without a state, a corporation spying on me simply means that they're just trying to figure out what they can sell me. That might even be to my benefit, because maybe I'm missing that product I need in my life. But a state spying on me, where they can throw me in a cage or, you know, kill me? I mean, come on. I mean, so Robert should be joining me very soon. Um, so that's what I want to talk to him about, though. Is what does he think technology means to the voluntary movement? Is it good? Is it bad? Skynet? Ooh, those movies were bad. Come on, I'm sorry. All right, so Robert, if you're here, we're ready for you. Come on in. If I sent you the wrong link, oops. Sorry. I'm still pretty new to this. That's why it's test week, right? But I think we got it. You know, Robert, is that you?
Oh, yeah, let me turn you down
Hey.
there.
Oh, sorry.
No,
This
it's all
laptop,
right. It's on me.
this laptop is crap. But hey, man, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. I was listening to you on your show and on Road to
Brando's,
Liberty.
isn't he so cool? Like I mean, so Robert, if I can call you that, whatever you want me to
Yep,
call you.
Robert's
Um,
good.
tell me about your show. Tell me about you. What do you want us to know?
Well, we have our own radio network, which is a sister network to Voluntary Virtues, called JRev Radio. I have my own show on there called The Journalistic Revolution. I run the roundtable discussions on Wednesdays. And then we have a weekend review on Sunday. But my show on the Voluntary Virtues Network is going to be called The World Through the Trivium. And my co-hosts over at JRev Radio call it my dead horse because I beat on it so often. And it's because I think the trivium is really the root of all conspiracy when you really look at it. The fact that certain elite individuals, regardless of their reasons, have occulted certain knowledge and ways of thinking that has led to the governments and slavery that we see in today's society.
Yes.
So the show coming on tonight around, I'm at 10 o'clock, I believe, from 10 to 11. I'm going just giving an introduction to the trivium, the method of thinking and why it's important. One example, if you don't mind me giving it real quick, of
Go
why
ahead.
the trivium is important is take the word government, right? It comes from the root word gubernare, which is a verb in Latin, which means to control. And mente, which is a root word noun in Latin, which means the mind. So it literally means to control the mind is what government is. And so once we look at it in that way, we can start to understand what it is. We can find its root problem. We can find its root cause, and then we can fight against it effectively and defend from its propaganda mentally.
I actually am really excited to watch that. That sounds awesome. I mean, I'm a huge conspiracy buff myself. Um, one of the places I like to go, if you don't mind, is I don't know if you've ever heard of a little website called 4chan.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
they have it. Okay, don't laugh. They have a they have a paranormal section. It's paranormal slash conspiracy section, board X. Now, just like all other parts of 4chan, you have to sit. Ooh. No. That was weird. Is that on your end or is that mine? I just
What
got
happened?
really loud echo all of a sudden.
Hold on, let me try and fix that.
Hold on. I'm just got scared it was me for a second because I turned on the light because it was so dark in here. All of a sudden it started echoing. I was like,
No,
holy crap.
that might have been on my end. I was switching it to my headphones because I had you on my speakers.
Oh, okay. But but yeah, just like the rest of 4chan, you have to sift through the crap, to get the good stuff. But there's still a little bit. Um, but w- w- that's kind of where I get a lot of the stuff. You know what I'm saying. Just there's a lot of good stuff on there. So I just thought I'd promote that and lose all of my credibility at this point because I go on 4chan. But it's really interesting because I didn't even know that about the word government. You just kind of blew my mind there. And, I've never heard of the Trivium method. It's a great band. Trivium's a great band, first of all. Um, but your show topic sounds completely awesome, not going to lie. And I can't wait to watch it. I'm probably going to watch it. And you're on from 10 to 10:30 or 10 to 11? Which one? Robert?
10 to 11.
Okay, beautiful. Um,
Because trust me, even I could make an introduction to the Trivium that lasted
I mean, it
hours.
it sounds like a really cool topic, and I think that you have a really, really unique show on your hands, and I really think that it's gonna go somewhere, especially on here, the VVN, the Voluntary Virtues Network, which, by the way, pretty awesome so far. Um, I mean, is there anything else that you want us to know about your show?
Well, what I'm going to do, and the reason that I'm doing the introduction of the Trivium first, is because I'm going to tie in of why it's paramount to voluntarism, anarchy, libertarianism, and it's because either knowingly or unknowingly, the philosophers who set the standard for any of those words, libertarianism, voluntarism, or anarchism, used the Trivium. The Trivium comes in three steps. It means the three elements, the very word Trivium, and it's grammar, knowing the definitions of the words in which you are using, or the subject matter. Then it is logic, Aristotle's logic, of removing all inherent contradictions of a subject. And then rhetoric, classical rhetoric, which is applying both the logic and the grammar wisely into the real world, or communication, if you will, being able to persuade somebody through thought or to express an idea or philosophy. So when you listen to the great philosophers, especially of freedom, like even Stefan Molyneux or even Christopher Cantwell to a certain extent, they
Mm-hmm.
define their terms, they point out the logical fallacies, and then they use those standards in which to finish their thesis, to make their point about why something is morally correct or more logically sound.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't mind, if I can hold you to one more topic since I only got 5 minutes left, I want to kind of tie in both these things together. So I want to ask you, from a nerd standpoint to your standpoint, your unique, very awesome standpoint, by the way. Um, how do you think that, like, how do you think modern technology can further the movement, further the goals, further the fight against, oppression in the state? There, I said it.
Uh, No, no, that's a good question. As far as technology goes, I think it is definitely almost as paramount. The only reason that we're at a point in time where we might actually see freedom, or at the very least liberty, because there's a difference between the two, but at the very least liberty in our time is because of the advent of technology. The fact that you have an answer button in your pocket at all times, the fact that we're having this conversation right now over the internet,
Mhm.
and we're able to broadcast it onto a network and people to watch and disagree or agree with what we have to say.
Mhm. The
Um,
fact that they can at least find it.
yeah, exactly. And also on top of that, you have great advancements in things like 3D printing and cryptocurrencies, and even new networking like the dark internet. And now there are these new apps out there to share internet space with other individuals, so that you can make the if they were to, like, say, go with net neutrality, if they were to do something like that and regulate the internet, you have ways around it. So basically, every time they try to exert more control, it's because of technology and those people behind the technology using the Trivium, which allows us to take a step forward ahead of their restrictions.
I Great answer. First of all, great answer. Um, I completely agree with you. But on that subject, how can it be used against us? I mean, obviously they have access to technology as well. What in technology? What should we the people? I hate using that term, but you get what I mean. Like, what should we be looking out for? Because they have technology too. How can their technology hurt us? Hurt the movement.
Well, I mean, right off the bat, the most obvious answer is the surveillance technology and the surveillance network and grid. That right there can definitely hurt us because, I mean, if you're trying to organize a rally or a spontaneous one, or if you're trying to, say, go cop blocking and you're holding signs letting people know when there's checkpoints ahead of you, and that they can watch you, track your movements, and then therefore detain you for whatever reason they want to because you're about to go
Mm-hmm.
do something they don't want. That's bad. But again, because people are pretty clever, we're kind of one step ahead. There's a man right now, he has an Indiegogo campaign going on where he is offering everybody his face. It is a mask that goes over your face
Hmm.
that will, when you're out in public, it looks realistic, and you just put it on and you assume the identity of that man while in public on the surveillance grid.
That's crazy.
And so, I mean, he's now looking for other people to donate their faces. So, I mean, and if this continues, you're going to see a movement where the reason that we get dressed up to go out isn't so that we look snazzy. It's because you won't know who we are.
I absolutely love it, but at the same time, isn't it sad that we have to go through these measures in the first place? I mean, when does it end? When does this fight end? Does this fight ever end? I mean, does it?
Well, that's a tough question to answer. My instinct answer is yes. But my realistic answer is no. The struggle will actually never end. Let's say tomorrow, everyone in the whole world's all like, hey, you know what? Anarchism sounds like a great idea. We're done. And they all drop their guns and take off their badges, and and the politicians quit, and it's all said and good. You're still going to have to deal with psychopaths. You're still going to have to deal with murderers. You're still going to have to deal with people who want to control you in some form or another. The question is will we be wise enough to figure out how to stamp it out early, and also it will we have a way to self-defend against it? Will we understand the grammar, logic, and rhetoric of a subject and not be taken in by these collectivist views?
You know what? I completely agree with that. And with that, I think that's a great point to end since it's the end of my time slot. But, you know, thank you so much, Robert, for this. You can tune in to Robert's show at 10 o'clock. I believe it's called, no, I'll get it.
World Trivium.
Damn, I was so close. But tune in. I mean, this sounds really interesting. I'm going to be tuning in. This is Chuck the Liberty Geek. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Voluntary Virtues Network, for giving me a chance to say something. And you know what, guys? I'll see you next Friday. Let me know how I did. Did I suck? Did I do good? Let me know in the comments. See you guys.